Well, good morning and welcome to Grandfather's Garage. I'm Grandfather, and this YouTube channel is for my now 4 grandkids, Haneen, Roland, Una, and Helena. Good morning, kids, because they live too far away to come spend every Saturday morning in their grandfather's garage messing around. So this is my way of bringing the garage to them with all of its projects and some of life's tidbits. We're going to build stuff, repair things, do some fishing, take some field trips, all so I can share some time with them. We're glad you could join us, so let's go see what we're going to do today in the garage. Come on.
This project came from just down the street. A close friend had a Lane furniture cedar chest that was given to her by her father back in the 1970s. My research on the internet indicated that it was constructed in Lane's No. 2 plant in Smyrna, Tennessee, the heart of cedar country, on June 15, 1974. That makes this chest almost 50 years old. Her concern was the base was starting to fall apart. Could I look at it and tell her how to fix it? The base falling apart didn't make sense to me because it was a piece of Lane furniture until I looked at it and discovered Lane had used pressboard for the base. Over the years, moisture had expanded the material, so it was indeed falling apart. She had also painted the chest many years ago because it was scratched up and well used. After looking at it, my question was, am I allowed to do whatever I want to repair it? With the answer yes, I took it to the shop. As you can see, the base really was just falling apart, so it would have to be replaced. Removal was just 8 screws, some loosening of a spot or 2 of glue, and it popped right off. Before I threw the old base away, I traced the outline on some leftover white cedar boards that a friend had given to me. Gary gives me odd pieces of lumber from time to time because he knows I'll do something with it eventually. The base trim was cut out and sanded in 3 separate pieces. There was actually no back piece, so I kept with the original design. Once the pieces were sanded, I set them aside while I started what ended up being the most tedious part of the project. I started to remove all of the primer and blue paint. While removing the paint, I also discovered the exterior panels were veneer. This would mean I couldn't sand as deeply as I would have liked to remove all the scratches. That also meant there was a lot more paint in the scratches and in the little holes that would have to be removed, especially on the top. Sanding was a slow, gentle process and also involved digging paint out from some of the deeper scratches. Eventually, the top and the sides came pretty clean. I had put it off as long as possible, but now came time to work on the front, where all the grooves were cut into the paneling. This started with removing the surface paint and carefully sanding both with the Dremel and by hand. Once the rough sanding was done, it took several hours of careful scraping to get the paint that was in the grooves, and then another final sanding to clean the edges. Would you believe me if I said it was meditative? Once the sanding was completed, as best as it could be done, the base was added back and given a little extra support. I reused the original bracing pieces, added some extra bracing, and also made sure it was well glued. I was not going to have the base break off once I had put it back on. I also sign all my work with the year it was completed, just for kicks. After the sanding, I started the base stain, which was red to match the cedar. I worked the base stain in, and then, because it was a bit too red for my taste, I ended up sanding it back a bit. The goal was to match the rich cedar color that was on the inside. Here's the new puppy's favorite spot when I'm working in the shop. She definitely likes to be close by. After the base stain was worked in, I added a browner second coat of stain to soften the base color and give it more of an antique look. You will also notice I left some of the heavier scratches in place because, to me, it's part of the character and history of the original piece. With the stain the way I liked it, the whole outside received 2 good coats of polyurethane. I use semi-gloss so it doesn't have too much of a shine, but it is furniture, so I want it to look good, but be able to take a few bumps as well. The poly is left to dry really well between coats, and then sanded between coats for adhesion and smoothing out any of the imperfections. Finally, the top was put back on, and this is what the final product looks like. The inside was not sealed as it was cedar, so it just got a good cleaning and then was left alone. The secret to this project was patience and doing a little bit at a time. Getting the paint out of the paneling grooves was the most tedious part of the project. The total project took about 15 hours to complete. Well, this is what the final project looks like. They were very appreciative of the final result, and it should last another 100 years or so. Hey, as always, thanks for spending your time with me as I do what, to me, is a rewarding challenge that is also a gift that I can give back to someone and gives me some Zen time to focus on what's just in front of me. Hope to see you guys next time.